The European Commission has released its autumn 2017 economic forecast. The report has raised the forecast of Croatia's economic growth this year from 2.9 to 3.2%, thanks to a strong tourism season and increased consumer spending, but says some of this momentum will be lost over the next 2 years due to rising inflation. It says that the potential negative impact of Agricor's restructuring on GDP growth is still looming, although so far its influence has been less than expected. The forecast also states that unemployment rates should continue to fall and that the general government deficit should remain stable. At today's cabinet session, the government dismissed a request from the opposition Social Democratic Party to hold a vote of no confidence in the government due to their handling of the Agricor debt crisis. Parliament is expected to debate that motion on Friday. Prime Minister Andrej Plenković believes this initiative will not be successful. He is confident that his government will secure a parliamentary majority of 78 votes. Agricor's government-appointed crisis manager Ante Ramljak held a press conference early this afternoon in which he presented details of the claims submitted against the whole of the Agricor concern. All of the food consortium's creditors declared their claims 2 months ago, and they amount to around 58 billion kuna. A comprehensive breakdown of these claims will be published by the Commercial Court, and this represents an important step in Agricor's restructuring process. In Parliament today, MPs are debating the execution and revision of the 2017 state budget, as well as the government's economic forecasts for the next 2 years. Finance Minister Zdravko Marić said the fact the European Commission's autumn forecast had arrived at the same projections as him was an indication of the fact that the Plenković government was cautious and realistic in its economic plans. Towards the end of yesterday's marathon debate in Parliament, Prime Minister Andrej Plenković took responsibility for the fact that there hadn't been a proper public debate about the new Family Act. That draft legislation was withdrawn almost immediately after it was submitted, after it received a slew of criticism from the public and relevant civil organisations. He stressed that Nada Murganić continued to have his confidence as Croatia's Minister of Demographics, Family, Youth and Social Policy, professionally and in terms of her humane approach to the job. The vote will be held on Friday. Prime Minister Andrej Plenković received the President of the European Court of Human Rights, Guido Raimondi, this morning. They discussed Croatia's cooperation with the European Court of Human Rights, whose rulings are binding for EU member states. The court's function is to protect the rights of EU citizens in situations where all recourse to justice within their country's judicial system has been exhausted. Minister of Labour and the Pension System Marko Pavić signed a new collective agreement for civil servants with trade union leaders representing the Croatian police force, Interior Ministry officials and local state officials and employees. The new collective agreement came into force on the 1st of November, although it is still being disputed by some trade unions that were not involved in talks with the government. Sport, and in football, Croatia's national team plays the first of 2 additional World Cup qualifiers against Greece in Zagreb's Maksimir Stadium this evening. Last night the team held its last training session. It is still not clear whether striker Mario Mandzukic will be fit to play. The match kicks off at 8:45 p.m. In basketball, Zagreb's Cedevita lost to the French team Les Valois in Paris last night 91-81 in the 5th round of the Euro Cup. So far, Cedevita have recorded 2 wins and 3 defeats and are 4th in the table. And in water polo, Dubrovnik's Jug defeated Belgrade's Partizan last night 16-5 in the 2nd round of Group A of the Champions League. This is Jug's first win in the competition this season. This afternoon's forecast calls for changeable and in most inland regions cloudy weather. There'll be rain in places mainly on the coast, and the longest sunny periods are expected in the south of the country. On the coast there'll be a light to moderate southeasterly yugo and easterly wind, while on the northern coast there'll be a northeasterly Bura wind in places. Highest daily temperatures will be between 10 and 13 degrees Celsius inland and between 14 and 17 degrees on the coast and in the Istrian and Dalmatian interiors. The next few days will be changeable, cloudy and mainly dry. On Sunday there'll be a moderate southwesterly wind and temperatures will rise slightly. In the evening it will cloud over and rain is expected. On the coast it'll be partly sunny on Friday, after which there will again be variable cloud cover, with a greater likelihood of rain in places, especially towards the end of Sunday when heavier downpours and thunderstorms are possible. There'll be a light to moderate southeasterly yugo and easterly wind, and on Sunday that yugo wind will strengthen.